Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and making some really good trades. And yep, let's just get into it. And right now we can see that Bitcoin is stalling a little bit during the intraday trading. Right now we are still open. It is 4 o'clock, or sorry, 3:30, and it's going to be 4 o'clock very shortly. And then we will see the markets close. And right now Bitcoin is starting to stall out a little bit here. As you can probably tell, the S&P is starting to come back up. We are getting a nice little bid here on the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell 2000, and the Dow Jones. So the nerves seem to have calmed down just a bit, but keep in mind that we do have some news coming out Tuesday and Wednesday. So Tuesday we obviously just have Canadian CPI, and that's not that important obviously. And then we have US existing home sales. Well, that's going to be a little bit interesting to see at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then Wednesday is the main event that everyone's been waiting for this month, is the federal funds rate, which is now expected to be increased by 0.25%, which is 25 basis points. And then it's going to be followed by the FOMC press conference. Now, in my opinion, the press conference is always, and the guidance is always the most important part of the FOMC. And obviously right now the rates being either paused or raised or cut is really important as well, given all the stuff that's gone through in the markets. If you guys haven't seen, we'll just cover it really quickly. Some of the regional banks right now are starting to fail or have failed, like Signature Bank and the SIVB. Right here's Silicon Valley Bank has now failed as well. And we've seen Credit Suisse over the weekend being bought out by UBS, which is actually today getting a nice little bid in the day, which is, I was actually surprised. So they are probably getting a pretty good deal there. If they're up on the day, it means that Credit Suisse is being sold at a discount with a guarantee from the the Swiss government on any losses that they incur. So that's a really good deal that they got there. And then some other small regional banks. Now let's get into what Bitcoin's doing right now. And we've seen that we've had a pretty impressive rally, as you guys can probably tell. We are starting to near some resistance around 28,750, and that, in my opinion, is going to be a nice level to potentially enter a short, as we do have a gap fill for Bitcoin right here at 28,925. We have a gap fill area. Now we actually created another gap at the open today on the CME futures. We have a gap here at 26,965, but keep in mind Bitcoin could technically still rally. We have some levels here right around 35,880 that still has to be filled. But we have gaps pretty much all over the place right now. We got one down at 20,365. We got one here up here at 28,900 and 35,880. And after that, I don't see any more gaps really. I think everything else has been filled for the time being. Even this one right here that we got, that one got filled as well with that wick. But yeah, eventually these gaps always fill. I don't know about the ones all the way down at 3,000. I don't think there is some down at 3,000 because the CME futures started trading back in 2017 for Bitcoin. But yeah, overall, those are my targets for the CME futures. When we take a look at some other charts here, let me just pull up some stuff. There we go. We do have some upsloping trend lines that I've outlined in the past that have been acting as resistance right now. So again, if we do come back up here, 28,800 is going to be some nice resistance, at which point I would get into a short. But please keep in mind, I do use a stop loss. So if you guys are gold members inside the Discord and you're following my trades, please always take into account the leverage that I am using and my stop losses as well. If you guys are using more leverage, you're going to take way more risk, and you could potentially make more money, but you could lose more money as well. And then we have a major psychological level coming in right around 30,000, which could be a nice short opportunity too. But overall, what you really want to be doing right now is buying on the pullbacks for Bitcoin. So if we do get a significant pullback in Bitcoin, like let's say we come back down to 25,000, I would definitely potentially open a long position right around this area. You can see we've been retesting this level multiple times as resistance. If we come back down, I think we are going to get a very nice bounce, and then we're going to continue towards the upside. Let's take a look at Bitcoin on market cipher on the weekly time frame. And again, some of you actually reacted really positively to this news. Again, it is just an indicator, but this indicator has been very accurate in the past. Just like I said during the crash, when Bitcoin was around 43,000, I said once we cut into that red money flow, I believe that we are going to start the bear market and we are going to get a significant correction. And that's exactly what happened. We got a 64% drop in the price of Bitcoin since we crossed back in April of 2022. And we started getting into that red money flow on Market Cipher B, and that's exactly what happened. Right now, we're almost crossing into that green money flow. And then once, I think I've covered this many times, once we cross into that green money flow, you get a very nice rally towards the upside, 844% here. When we cut into the green money flow here, it was a 6,878% pump. And then obviously this was the beginning of Bitcoin, so we don't have that much data to work with. But overall, this was usually followed with a green dot confirming the trend towards the upside on Market Cipher A. And we could see that we got a green dot as well here, but obviously this was the COVID crash, right? And that was definitely hard to predict. And we did get a significant correction, but we maintained that green money flow, and we got another green dot. We got another green dot confirming the trend. And right now, Bitcoin did get a rally in 2020 as well, followed with that. Now we're getting a nice green dot right here as well. However, we have not crossed in the green money flow just yet. We are getting very close to that level, so that's why I think we could potentially be starting another run towards the upside. Are we going to get another 6,000% pump towards the upside? I think that is probably unlikely. I'm on more of the page of diminishing returns. So you're definitely going to see maybe a significant less, like in terms of percentage gain, you're going to see less of a return here. You probably might get a 400%, 500%, but even then, that's over $160,000, $180,000 on Bitcoin. Let's take a look quickly at wave edge here, and on the daily time frame, we are getting some small sell signals here, so potentially a top in the wave 5 and then a potential correction back down into an ABC pattern back down to 25,000. I don't think that's going to go that low right away. I think you're going to chop down towards the downside. This could be followed with potential Fed maybe being more hawkish, or I don't know what's going to happen on Wednesday. We're going to see. It's going to be really crazy, and I'm going to be with you guys inside the Discord from the market open to the market close on on Wednesday. All right, I think that's enough coverage for Bitcoin. Let's get into the S&P here. Again, the S&P is still trading, but it is getting a nice bid today with the Fed the market starting to calm down a little bit with with all that banking fear, and you're starting to see the Nasdaq starting to get less of a bid now because a lot of money flowed into the tech sector after such a panic in the banks. Everyone was starting to withdraw their investments in banks and putting them back into tech, and you saw tech like Microsoft. Let me just pull up the Microsoft charts. MSFD Microsoft. You saw the Microsoft actually had a huge rally during that banking crisis. So you can see it actually pumped up over 14%, which was, you can see all that capital inflow from all those investment funds, all the hedge funds, all the investment banks putting their money into those trillion-dollar tech stocks instead, parking their money there. Same thing for Google, same thing for Apple, and I think you saw a little bit there in Meta as well. Now we're getting some downside in the tech sector here. We're starting to see Nvidia and the semiconductor ETF, not the ETF, semiconductor stocks starting to pull back a little bit. Nice little topping tail right now on Nvidia. Same thing for AMD. AMD, you had this major trend line right here acting as resistance. We did have a little bit of a gap up here and a pierce, but starting to come back down right now. We are still at resistance. So let's see how that short works out. Let's cover oil and natural gas now. Oil is getting a nice bounce from $65 like I've been calling for maybe the last 20 weeks, half the year. I've been calling for $65 a barrel for oil, and it finally happened. We got our pullback. Again, we've been chopping sideways here for a very long time, and now it's played out. Now I'm currently in a long position on oil, so we are nicely in the money on one of my trades, and I expect potentially a bounce back in oil to $72 to as high as $75. But ultimately, I think we're going to continue to trend towards the downside, and we will correct down to potentially as low as $50 to $45 on the oil price. So don't be surprised once we drop down to those levels. Again, that's going to be probably coinciding with a lower level in the market as well. So I think the S&P, we have a good chance of coming back here, making a double top, and then ultimately rolling over in April and starting to come back down. Let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas is actually down on the day today, down more than 4%, or now it's down 3.96%. But overall, again, a very volatile asset. We are getting a nice little bid right now on the 4-hour time frame. We are starting to run into some support on this downsloping channel right here. So if we do get a bounce, you're going to expect that $2.40 is going to be some resistance. But ultimately, I think oil has done its drop towards the downside. I think the bottom is in for nat gas. Sorry, I think I said oil, but I think the bottom is in for nat gas, and you're going to get a nice rally back up to $3.50 to $4.50 on oil. Sorry, nat gas. I keep saying oil. Like I've been saying, like I was calling for a major drop in oil and back down to 65. I think you're gonna get a nice little rally in nat gas back to $3.50 and $4 or $4.50. So again, those are my targets outlined for you in advance. Let's take a look at gold now. Gold was actually down on the day. We actually pierced $2,000 on the gold price. Very nice. All the gold bugs are very happy that we reached $2,000 again. But right now we are still at resistance. 2000 is acting as psychological resistance, and you have this upsloping trend line which is acting as resistance as well. I think gold is actually a little bit overdone right now, so you should start to get a pullback on the gold price sooner than later. Same thing for silver. Silver did get a very nice bounce, obviously not as big as gold, but it's still very impressive as well. You can see from the lows here, silver pumped 12%, and from the lows here, gold actually pumped a surprising the 9.74%. So the move doesn't look as big, but the percentage gains are significantly bigger on silver. But ultimately, still expect gold to go to new all-time highs, with the dollar falling through the floor. Right now, the DXY is starting to drop a little bit here, which is probably why you're seeing a nice little bit in the markets, because the markets want a lower dollar, they want lower rates. So keep your eyes peeled on Wednesday for the FOMC meeting. Thanks for watching my video, guys. Really appreciate you all supporting me. We're at 17,400 subscribers. Once we get to 25K, we're going to do that $2,500 giveaway. So put your hands up and subscribe. I don't know, show me some love. I'll see you guys later. Peace.